Well, what is up, all of you Ugnots and Jawas out there, and welcome back to another episode of Mando Talk. As always, I am your host, Caleb Keller, and joining again this week for another episode is our co-host, Zach Horvath. Zach Horvath's looking great with that red Sith color behind him this week. How are you doing this week, Zach?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy to be here. It's been, somewhat of a long week, so I'm excited to talk to you. As we always state, we haven't discussed beforehand. I saw our quick takeaway. You can check that out if you're on YouTube. But Keller posted his thoughts. So if you're on the edge of your seat for mine, I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to talk about that Bad Batch episode. Yeah, we'll hold off on sharing thoughts for it until we get to that
That's right.
moment. But yeah, I can't wait to just have this conversation with you. We hope that you're enjoying, those of you listening, enjoying listening to our conversations. We appreciate the support. We appreciate those of you that are listening on our podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, any of them. You find us, type in Mando Talk, you can find us there. And those of you that are watching us on YouTube, we appreciate that support. But I guess go ahead and just get my final plugs in. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Mando Talk. And again, Discord. Click that link. We've got Bad Batch spoiler channels going to talk about the Bad Batch. We're getting closer with some of our listeners. It's really fun. So go ahead and join in that community with us. There's really nothing else to say other than it's just super fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it then.
Let's do it.
So first, we'll start off with the news of the week. You know how we do it around here. Come on, we get into the news. Then we're going to get into some Bad Batch episode 6 spoilers. So stick around, wait on that. We're going to touch on a few topics today, not a lot. Kind of a slowish week, and I'm not mad about it. I think it's going to definitely start kicking up. At least that's what it's starting to seem like. So first one off the top. In a recently resurfaced interview from John Boyega, he stated the following regarding a return. He said, quote, "I am open to the conversation as long as it is Kathleen, JJ, and maybe someone else and the team. It's a no-brainer," end quote. So, interesting quote from old John. So let me first ask you, what do you take? What's your initial take? You read the quote. What do you think?
I mean, for me, it's exciting because I love John Boyega. I love his character, Finn. And I think there's tons of potential there for that character to make a return. So him being open to it is exciting. But, it's one of those moments, too, where I just don't know if it's actually going to come to fruition, though. Like, is he just saying it to remain on good graces with the fan base and with Lucasfilm and Disney, but not really wanting to do it, because you never know exactly what the actor or actress is doing in those interviews. Like, are they just keeping on the good side, or are they actually being true and honest? I guess those were my initial takeaways. What about you?
Yeah, I was surprised that he said this, to be honest. I thought he was very much I'm done with Star Wars. At least that's the vibes I got after Rise of Skywalker. And again, do I see it happening? Very slim, especially that he calls out Kathleen and JJ and these specific people. I really don't know. Like, I'm excited to hear that, and I want him to say it's a no-brainer. But I just, I don't know. The odds of it happening are very low for me. And you guys got to remember, you alluded to it, but like actors are just, they're the workers, right? Like they want to keep working. So why would you want to burn that bridge with someone like Disney and Star Wars? And people want, people do love Finn. They do. And especially with the tiptoeing around him being force sensitive, it's like, come on, give us something with that. So I think that's what he means in a veil, where he's saying, make him some sort of force user and I'm back. But I don't know. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And a couple of things that come to mind. Number one, I think this is from an interview back in the summer of 2020. And I know that was just a few months after him saying, "Nah, I'm good with Star Wars for right now." So I see where you're coming from with that. And you're 100% correct in saying, you're surprised by this because, yeah, he's been kind of back and forward with that. But my biggest thing with this is he specifically mentions JJ, and we've been talking about JJ Abrams the past couple of weeks. In these interviews he keeps doing, he's talking about wanting to do new stuff and not going back to pre-existing franchises. And if Boyega is hoping on JJ coming back to make him come back to his character, I think that makes the chance even slimmer because I don't see JJ coming back to Star Wars.
I really don't either, man. I think he's done. That's just a initial take from me. I mean, maybe not. Maybe they rope him back in. Who's to say he doesn't direct it? Maybe he has hands on it. Maybe he's a producer or writer or something. But
Yeah,
again, I think he might be done. But
yeah, but remember this too. It's here's another plug. TikTok at Mando Talk. We're doing
yeah.
like these minute news pieces. I said in this week's mini news piece on TikTok, money talks.
Oh yeah. I
If
mean,
John Boyega gets enough money to come back to play Finn, he'll do it. J.J. Abrams, if he's needing to get some extra cash, he'll come back and work on Star
well, I mean,
Wars.
of course, like I said, they're all employees.
Yeah.
They're they are working for money.
Mhm.
So you back up the truck, it's going to be kind of hard, especially with where Finn landed at the end. And it's just, I don't know. As an actor, I'd like to think that you'd want to keep that door open
Yeah.
because you never know,
I mean,
especially with you know what I'm going to say, Disney Plus.
yes.
I mean, why would you say why would you want to piss them off, especially now with Disney Plus blowing up and us as Star Wars fans dying for content? Like, I just want more and more because I'm greedy. And I don't know. I think it's a smart call by John. But even though this was, like you said, it was before kind of, now, but that's, I thought it would be good to bring up here, just to talk about John. And because at least where I stood, I thought he was like, I'm out. These fans are nuts. I'm out. And it sounds like, maybe not. And it's just a smart play by him.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else before I move on?
No, I mean, I would love to see Finn. I love the character. I love John Boyega. So, if he wants to do it, come back. We'll take you.
Yep. Beautiful. So moving on. Number 2, according to the Ronin, I'm going to say these names now and y'all going to have to, suffer with me. Aline Bonetto. Sure. Sorry if I said that wrong. Will be the production designer of Rogue Squadron, the upcoming Star Wars film directed by Patty Jenkins. Now, I am super hyped for Rogue Squadron. So, this team is most known for their work on the Wonder Woman character. And so, where do you sit on this? Do you care first off, and like where does it land for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I like Wonder Woman. I like both films. Obviously for me, the second one wasn't as good as the first Wonder Woman, but I'm good with it. Patty Jenkins is super talented. I'm not surprised at all that she's bringing in talent that she's worked with before, especially from the Wonder Woman character, because those films have been overall very successful. So I think this is just one of the first names that's coming down the list of people that she's going to bring in for this Rogue Squadron project. It's not, for me, it's not something that just like gets me absolutely pumped or stoked, but I like it. Like you said, it's pretty cool.
It's good to hear. I mean, I agree that the Wonder Woman movies, the first one is way better than the second one, in my opinion. Hot take, I didn't even finish the second one the first time. I was just like, this is horrible. I hate this. This is so
I do
campy
have a lot of
and so trash, but
a lot of things with Wonder Woman 84 that drive me crazy, but I did push through it only because it was like the first big film that came out post COVID and all that.
But yeah, I mean, I eventually came back and we Taylor and I finished it, but she was right there with me of like, this is what the crap, because Wonder Woman 1 was so good, I thought. But that being said, they're both good enough that the team behind it, you can tell, it'd be good to keep them going, right? One thing that I thought of talking about this is Breaking Bad. I love Breaking Bad. I don't know if I've talked about it on here before, but it's like probably number 1 for me in my favorite. I won't lie. And the reason I bring them up is when they went to Better Call Saul, a lot of the same team stayed together. And I believe you can feel that because it's very high quality as well. Now that has to go with writers and everything, but if they can keep the mesh going and the mold and they know how they work with each other, and it just keeps the machine lubricated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I think it probably makes Patty Jenkins's transition into the Star
Mm-hmm.
Wars franchise a lot smoother. Just that
Yeah,
familiarity.
exactly. That's a big part of it. And I thought that's why it was important to bring up because it just, if it can make her feel more comfortable and do a better job, then I'm all in, like
Yeah.
whatever it
So
takes.
before we move away from that, though, I know
Mhm.
you alluded to that you were very excited for Rogue Squadron.
Yes.
You want to just share some thoughts on Rogue Squadron? Because I don't think we've shared thoughts on that on this
I don't think
podcast in a while, honestly.
we haven't really talked about, yeah, we haven't really talked about it at all.
Yeah.
I I gotta say, I'm super excited about this movie and
Mhm.
with Patty Jenkins. Like, she's legit. Okay.
Yeah.
Like you got to give her some credit. I feel like it gets, I was trashing her with Wonder Woman 84, but overall, I think she's still legit. And I am excited to see what she can do with Rogue Squadron because in some interviews, she's talked about how much, like, how passionate she is with Star Wars. You know how all these,
Yeah.
everyone's been affected by Star Wars. So all these filmmakers that are getting to work on it now, they're kids in the sandbox playing with their Star Wars,
Mhm.
and that's exciting as a fan because I want to feel the love, right? I love it and I want to feel the love. So if you tell me it's going to be freaking fighter, like, dude, come on,
Yeah.
give it to me. I love it.
Yeah.
Go
And
ahead.
it seems like she knows quite a bit as far as potentially the back or the bones of piloting and things of that nature, because that the announcement video that they released, she revealed that her father was part of Air Force and he
It's
was.
sick.
Yeah, so I think it's very passionate for her, this project, and I think she's gonna release that and give everything she's got into it. So I'm very excited just for that alone. But
Mhm.
also, I think it's gonna be like Top Gun meets Star Wars, and I'm here for it.
If they tell, like, if that's all they got to say. If they
Mhm.
come out and someone's like Top Gun meets Star Wars, I swear it will go on my anticipated list. Like,
Yeah.
it's already high, but that's
Mhm.
exactly what I want. When you tell me a Rogue Squadron is the name and it's going to be about freaking X-wings and all kinds of crazy stuff,
Yeah.
if you can make it feel like Top Gun, oh my god, like, thank you. And I want it to be a little grittier too, personally. Like,
Mhm.
I want it to be kind of edgier because
Mhm.
I want the pilots to be. I don't want it to be like a kiddie, like ha 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 kind of a thing. I want it to
Yeah.
be kind of, a little bit Rogue One ish, really.
Mm.
If that's where my mind goes, because if you're talking, I mean, that's like people killing other people and stuff, right? It's pretty
Yeah.
heavy already. So,
No,
what's your
I
thought?
would I would agree with that take. I would like to see like a Rogue One vibe. Um,
Hmm.
like you said, more gritty. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to add to that as far as what I would
I,
expect for that, because I don't
th-
really have predictions for it. We're
yeah,
too far
exactly.
away from it, other than I think we're gonna see some very cool shots. I can't wait to see it in theater. Let's go.
In theater. Hoorah. All right. That's all we got on that one. Just thought it was, worth bringing up, especially Rogue Squadron. We haven't really talked about it, and I feel like it's worth talking about. So that's that. Number 3 on the news here. We're gonna talk about the comic War of the Bounty Hunters #1. So,
Mhm.
this is a comic that follows the journey of Boba Fett delivering Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt, following the events of Empire Strikes Back. Now, there's a little spoiler we're going to talk about. So if you plan on reading the comic, or you don't want to hear it, just mute us, and
Yeah,
I'll do something crazy to tell you it's okay.
yeah.
But spoiler warning, here we go. Qi'ra, is that how you say that?
Yeah.
All right, that's what I thought. Qi'ra
From
is
Solo.
revealed at the end of the comic. So pretty big deal in my opinion. Like, they didn't have to, bring her in, and I'm happy to see that they're recognizing Solo and pulling on that string.
Mhm.
What is your thoughts? You hear this? Go ahead.
Well, I love it because first of all, I love I loved Solo, a Star Wars story, even though it didn't make a bunch of money. I'm still here for a second one, but anyway.
Hashtag make
Uh,
Solo 2 happen.
yeah, exactly, exactly. I love the character Qi'ra. I think there's tons of potential there, especially with the tease that they put at the end of Solo, a Star Wars story. But apparently, well, it's not apparently. We know this by now. So this comic is after Empire Strikes Back, which is a good like 10 years after Solo. So we
Yeah.
got a 10-year gap here where we know now that Darth Maul is not around. So Kira's got to be the head honcho of Crimson Dawn. So there is tons of potential here with this character. And we know it's a love interest of Han's. And we know eventually before the sequels happen, Han and Leia have a falling out. Maybe this could imply that Kira's got something to do with it eventually. I think it's more so just like they said in the movies that Ben falling away to the dark side broke them apart. But anyway,
Mhm.
I don't know. I love Qi'ra and I love Emilia Clarke. She recently just had an interview talking about this, and she says she got emotional whenever she found out that they're bringing that character back. So here's where I really want to discuss this. Do you want this told in a comic book? Because I mean, Emilia Clarke, I love her. I want to see her more. I personally want to see it more played out in a TV show. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I will be completely honest with you, and I'm gonna wreck your dreams a little bit.
Okay.
I don't really need to see it,
Okay.
I guess.
Okay.
I didn't, I don't know, she didn't latch on to me like I wanted to know more about her
Mm.
after watching Solo. Now I love Emilia Clarke. She's my, she's my Khaleesi. Come on now. But again, I got to be honest. I don't want to lie to you guys.
Mm.
I think it's cool. I see it more as a Star Wars doing what it should do and pulling in these people and places and familiarities that would make sense.
Yeah.
That's what I like out of it more than the actual character itself. However, with you bringing up Crimson Dawn,
Mhm.
that's sick. Like I didn't really think about that of where she would be at this time, and I hope you're right, and I hope we get a lot more of that because that would be awesome because we're getting down into the underground type stuff, which is obviously where we love, and that's where the fans love. It's proving that with Mandalorian and even Bad Batch a little bit. We're getting into that stuff. So again, I think it's cool. I'm not obsessed with it, but I'm good to hear that you are. I won't
Yeah.
lie.
No, that's fair. And I think that's a good representation of, I mean, money, the money shows it, a representation of what people thought of Solo. I mean,
yeah.
it just wasn't enough to turn people out.
I like
I
Solo.
think overall people that watch Solo think it's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just we've talked about this before. There was a lot of good movies out there during this time frame when they dropped it. It was coming off the heels of The Last Jedi, where people were like, "Oh, cancel Star Wars," or "We're not watching it anymore."
Yeah.
So there was a
A
lot of
lot.
things working against it. But overall, I think people say that it's just a fun movie, but maybe there just wasn't enough there to get people cranking.
And the way I talk about Solo is it's going to sound like a bad thing, but don't get me wrong, it's not. I like Solo a lot. It's a perfect streaming movie to watch.
Mm.
Like
Mhm.
if I go and pay $30 at the theater, it's good, but I'm not like obsessed with it. If
Yeah.
I'm at home watching Solo and I put it on, never seen it before, I would love it because it's super fun. It's got amazing characters. I that's how I always put it. And
And
now
it's
again,
interesting.
oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say it's interesting that you say that too, because I hear a lot of people talk about how now that they're watching Solo at home, there's way more interest in it.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
I
I
think
think
it's
that
just
adds to your
because
point.
I think it's because it's not a amazing theater experience for me, but
Mhm.
it's the perfect at home watching on the in
Mm.
bed Star Wars movie for me.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see this.
Yeah.
Hashtag make Solo 2 happen. Let's get more Qi'ra in there. And I just let us know what you guys think. Are you
Mhm.
excited to hear this? Like, have you read the comic? I want to know more about it because, as you know, at least with me, I'm not huge into reading all the other books and comics and stuff. I'm more of a general guy, and I'm getting more and more because of my boy Keller up there. He's digging me in, but I ain't mad, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anything else to add on Qi'ra before we move on?
Uh, I see what you're saying. I wouldn't be brokenhearted if they didn't do this as a TV show.
Mhm.
I look forward to the. It seems like they're going to play with the character more in the comic series, so I look forward to getting her that way. And other than that, nothing else to say about it. Spoilers are
Fair.
over though, so let's just like
Yeah.
wave our
Spoiler
hands,
alert.
come
Yeah.
back.
Unmute. We're back. So, one thing I want to point out, to round off the news for the
Yeah.
day, there's just some quick little additions to the Andor cast that we wanted to bring up. It's Chernobyl's Robert Ems in a
Hmm.
supporting role. That's straight from Deadline. And then there's a rumor on the internet here. I'm gonna say the name here. Here we go. It's Rajavan Vasan. We're gonna roll with that. And so that's the rumor that he's
Oh,
coming around on
I
the
think it's
Andor.
from Reddit, so we can't really trust that one as much as the
Yeah.
Deadline one,
Uh,
obviously.
exactly. But worth bringing up. We want you guys to know the news, and here we are.
Uh-huh.
Then the last one would be Duncan Powell as Ruska Melshi from Rogue
Perfect.
One. You're
Perfect.
killing me with these names, people. I need some like John Smith. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But yeah, so nothing really to talk about there, nothing really to
Yeah.
discuss, but I want you guys to be up to date, and that's where we stand on Andor. Real quick to finish off the news for the day. That's all we got.
Hmm.
Um, we're talking about Andor, and we've been talking about it a lot here lately because they don't know how to control leaks. The dude, security dude's already lost his job, I'm sure, because they've been videoing and taking pictures. But I want to know where you stand on Andor. Do you care about it? Like, are you hyped about it? Are you more or less with all these leaks coming out? What's your stance on Andor?
The more info comes out for me, the more excited I'm getting. Because I'm just one of those that throw a Star Wars label on it and I'm there. So you give me Star Wars pictures, I'm there. And especially when I saw those shore troopers shooting a scene with Diego Luna as Cassian Andor, sign
Yeah.
me up because that's just Rogue One vibes. And to be honest, I don't know. Okay, never mind. The Force Awakens is number one for me, but Rogue One is definitely top of the list on a lot of fans
Oh yeah.
Star Wars era movies. So if they're tugging at that thread, it's going to be a successful show, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. Where I stand on it is kind of above middle of the road. Um,
Okay.
I'm excited just because it's Star Wars, and I'm excited that they're doing it, like they're actually making it, and it's
Hmm.
going to be coming out, and it does seem like it hopefully will get a little darker, which I love. I want it to be
Yeah.
that Rogue One vibe as we spoke about recently. Um, but it's kind of the same as we discussed in the last news piece. I won't say anything, but I just I am not obsessed with the character.
Yeah.
So I hope this changes me. That's what I want out of the show. I want by the end of the show, I am loving the character and I'm loving the depth. If they can do that, boom.
I
That's
have
where I
a
stand.
feeling. I have a feeling. And I don't know why I feel this way. I hope I'm right in feeling this way. I
Mhm.
think Andor is going to blow us away somehow, and I
I
don't know how yet. But I just
I
get
hope
that
you're
sense.
right.
I think it's going to be one of those like big surprise shows that might blow the internet up. Who knows? Who knows?
I hope if we're gonna compare, I hope it's like WandaVision
Mm,
because WandaVision was very middle of the road for me. I didn't really care about those characters, but by the end of the show, I freaking love Wanda and Vision, and it was weird. It was different. They took risks. It was a sleeper hit for Marvel. Like everyone was talking about it on Twitter. I
yeah.
want that out of Andor. If they can do that, like that's a big task, but if they could do that, man, I mean that would be huge.
Think so. I,
So
I think it will, but we'll see. We'll see.
I hope you're right. But that's all we got for the news today. Off the tops, not too much. We did dig in a little bit deeper than I meant to, but you know what we do. We're just talking. We just hanging out, talking news, and then
Yeah.
getting into rabbit holes. That's what we do. So now, while you're here, let's talk about episode 6 spoilers. titled Decommissioned. That's the title of the episode here. And I'm going to, before I let you take over, I'm going to talk about our Twitter polls. So over at Mando Talk on Twitter, come join us if you want to, be a part of the show. We always ask you guys what you thought of the episode. So here's where we stand on Decommissioned. 4% not for me. That's looking pretty good.
Again, it's just that one person, I think, each week that's voting for not for me.
Yeah. Thank you for that person. I hope you're a listener. Thank you. We love.
We love you. Don't get me wrong. We love you who it's not for you. But
I'm saying
that's fair.
Like you're following a Star Wars podcast and it's not for you. Like, all right, you ain't got to vote, but okay. All right. So I want your opinion. So thank you for that. 17% says it's okay. 30% says good, but not great. And 47.8% says top tier. So almost 50% say top tier.
Yeah.
Keller, where do you stand on this?
As you were doing that, I'm scrolling through and looking at like all the previous episodes. And for some reason that it was 48 top tier seemed kind of low to me compared to other weeks.
It's right on the money.
I think okay. We've been close to 50% almost every week that people are voting top tier for the Bad Batch. Okay, so back to me though. Back to me. You're here to listen to me, right? Top tier is not where I'm going this week. I'm going to say it's good, but not great. So initially, on my first watch, I did think it was top tier. Only because a lot of action, the Corellia planet name drop, and we'll get to talking about that here in a second. The huge tease that's at the end that I can't wait to talk about. So after seeing all that the first time, I was like, dang, that was a good episode. I loved it from beginning to end, top tier. After my second watch, though, it was just a very actioned episode, but not really the character-driven development, and the Empire stuff wasn't in there. So all the things that we keep talking about each and every single week that we love to death about the Bad Batch when they do it wasn't really there as much as I initially thought. Again, on that second watch, it really just stood out to me that this was just an action-heavy episode. And that's great and all. I mean, it's Star Wars. There's wars in the name Star Wars. We're going to see action. But when it comes to shows, shows really get their bones, their structure from character development. I just felt like it wasn't there. So I'm going with good, but not great. What about you, Zach?
I am right there with you, my friend. I voted good, but not great. The reason I voted good, but not great, I was right there with you. I was on the line, I won't lie, of top tier and good, but not great. However, I have to agree. I just said that, but I have to agree again because it just didn't nail character depth, or it didn't give us a lot to go with there. Some of the other episodes I would consider top tier were able to weave character and action to make it make sense and make it more intertwined. Where this episode, it was very much, to me, pedal to the metal. Let's keep it as fast as we can. All action, all action. Cool. We got some interesting stuff here and there. We got the Wrecker stuff. We've got the other characters coming in. It was okay, or it was good but not great. Like it was more than okay for me, and it wasn't top tier. So that's where I land. I'm excited to dig into it, but just off the top, that's where I'm at.
And let me add one more thing to this before we get into it. And this isn't like a shot, because I think this adds a lot to this episode, but I feel like a lot of people are thinking that this episode was great only because the last shot, the last scene. Because to be fair, even though this wasn't top tier for me, this is the first episode, though, where I was like, oh, don't stop. Don't turn it off, because I want to know this answer.
Yeah.
So I think that is kind of affecting that top tier score maybe a little bit.
And it's well done by the creators, right. I mean, good job leaving us wanting more, because I agree with you. This is one of the first episodes. I won't say the first, but it's one of the only episodes where I didn't want it to end. I was like, oh, okay, who's this about to be? Oh, all right.
Yeah. So I'll
uh,
give you that. So again, I think if those out there that voted top tier probably are weighing that heavily into their vote, and that's fair. I
mhm,
think for me though, again, because I was caught in it the first time I watched it, I was like, "Oh,
mhm.
that's cool, top tier." Click that. But again,
Yeah.
after the second watch, you realize, we're really here to get to know these characters more, and I just felt like that was missing.
That's why we always, I don't think we've ever brought this up, but I always recommend a double watch,
Yes,
2 watches. And you know me, you got to go closed captions because you
yes,
get some details in there that you may not get otherwise. Now, if you hate it, completely your thing, you do you, but that's just what I would recommend to you. If you haven't, try it. But let's get into some deets
yeah.
of the plot here. So,
Let's do
Keller,
it.
take it away.
Okay, so the episode opens on Ord Mantell. So I was surprised by this initially. I was surprised that we were still on the same place. And we get something that you kind of alluded to. First of all, Echo is training Omega with the bow. But the big thing here is that the Bad Batch, I guess, officially become quote unquote bounty hunters because they are signing up for this job that Sid wants them to do. I loved this simple quote from Sid: "You make money, I make money, and I watch your back." And as soon as she says that line, she's like, "Give me that bow, Omega, bow, bow, bow." And that's it for Sid. I love that opener. I loved Sid.
Yeah.
Incredible skills with that bow. What did you think of the opener before that mission started?
I loved it. It was the perfect way to set the scene on the episode. Like you said, I was surprised that we were still there, and I'm happy to see Sid coming in doing Sid things. I love the character of Sid now. It went from
Yes.
she's really cool to like that was sick because, like you said, simple, sweet, short. You make money, I make money. I watch your back. Watch this. You're doing this wrong. Wah, 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 wah. All right, I'm out. Like, hey, by the way, I will literally murder you with this bow. That's the vibes I got of like, don't like you know who you're messing with here. Like, you want me on your side, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very well done, and I like how they like looked around. They're like, all right, yeah,
So
so that's
here's
awesome.
here's the mission that Sid gives them. She wants the crew to locate a tactical droid on Corellia due to their ability to learn how to defeat the clone army. It makes sense. Obviously, the clones are now the bad guys. Tactical droids during the Clone Wars, their job was to get to know the clones' tactics and exploit them and defeat them that way. So now people that want to destroy the Empire want tactical droids. That lines up. But as soon as I hear the name drop or the planet drop of Corellia, I immediately go to Han Solo and well, never mind. I don't want to say that. Just Han Solo, because I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to allude to something that might be, something that we mentioned earlier in the episode. But
Yeah,
listen,
yeah.
Corellia, as soon as I heard that name, I thought for a second there we were going to get a kid Han running around on Corellia at some point in this episode. That never happened. But one thing I will mention about Corellia before we move forward, I also thought this was going to be a huge potential for us to get those Empire things that we love because Corellia was a huge piece in the development of TIE fighters and Star Destroyers as the Empire was rising and as they were continuing to create that weaponry. What did you think when you heard that Corellia name drop? Did you have any expectations when you heard it, or were you just kind of going with the flow?
So I'll be honest, I didn't expect to see Han Solo or anyone like that.
Okay.
I thought it would be kind of heavy handed if they did do that. Um,
Like a
but
little too in your face, like this is Star Wars.
yeah,
Here's
like
Han.
hey, hey. Um, no, I did hope, and I think that's why if it would have done this, it would have been top tier. Just give me some touches of why the Empire or how the Empire's doing what we know they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Right. We've seen it on the other episodes with the parade. That's where my mind goes is
Mm,
with the simple, you know, 30-second view of them cheering on these troopers that you're like, ooh, this is
right.
eerie. Like, give us something like that, just a quick scene. Is it a missed opportunity? Maybe not, because maybe we do see that at some point. Maybe not on
Yeah.
Corellia, but maybe somewhere else. But it was cool. I was like, ooh, oh, all right, here we go. Let's see something. And
Yeah.
we didn't
Well,
really no
something
payoff, but
Yeah, something that I think would have been cool, and they did it in Solo, so it would have been a repeated use. But as the Bad Batch are running into, uh, oh, for some reason I'm blanking on what the term was, but the building where the tactical droid was, as they showed that aerial shot of them just running into it, it would have been cool if they would have just shown like a Star Destroyer being put together in the
Yeah.
background up in the sky, and that potentially would have been enough to tip me over that edge into top tier because the Empire implications just mean that much to me.
No, yeah. I mean, you guys know I love that's my favorite part of the show, is seeing the Empire setting their roots and doing their thing. And Star Destroyers have always fascinated me
Mm-hmm.
because if you guys didn't know, I am an engineer by trade. I mean, you talk about the engineering on one of those things. Well done, Empire.
Okay. So
Like,
if
well
you
done.
were if you were in the Star Wars galaxy, you would be an Imperial engineer then, basically.
I
You
mean,
would be
maybe
working for the bad guys. I can't believe you. Of
well, you
course.
look behind me, homie. Come on. No, I think if I saw them, murdering just innocents, I don't know if I could be behind that. But
Well,
the
to be fair though, civilians don't know about them murdering innocents. So,
True.
you
I
know,
would just be some dude in some like planet in my cube, up there just designing a cannon for war. That's how this goes. But I just think they're fascinating. I
yeah.
love the tech behind Star Wars, and just that's where my mind goes. So give me something, and they didn't. So I wanted to talk about the engineering of the Star Destroyer because the whole mission is to get the tactical droid, to learn about the clones. It is fascinating to me, that dichotomy of we hate the droids, screw the droids. Now, hey, we need this droid because
Yeah.
it actually is going to help us. That's fascinating to me.
Absolutely. And there's actually like a connection here, and we're kind of getting ahead here, but that's fine.
Sorry.
There's a similar plot thread in Rebels where Rex and company have to fight with droids in order to fend off Imperial troopers. So yeah, it's cool whenever that connection happens because
Mm-hmm.
the clones have for so long had hatred toward these droids, but this is now the second time we've had to see the two sides work together in order to get out
Mm-hmm.
of a situation.
What it what
But
it made me what it made me feel like, just in a little sense, was in Mandalorian when they're on that truck and they're about to just get
oh
murked,
yeah,
and then you see the TIE fighters come in and save the day.
hmm
It's such a weird, like,
hmm.
I hate these guys, but this is sick, and thank
Yeah,
you for coming. Like, I love that one has always stuck out to me in Mandalorian lore, because that is just
mhm.
a great thing that we haven't really seen in Star Wars before, in my opinion. So it was
And
cool to see here.
yeah, and hopefully we'll see more of that in
I think we
Acolyte,
will.
right?
I
In the
think we will.
Acolyte.
Oh
All
yeah,
right.
we gonna get dark in the Acolyte. All right,
Yeah,
go
yeah. Next up
ahead.
in the mission, though, as they get to Corellia, they realize there's a couple other people trying to get this tactical droid. It turns out to be Rafa and Trace Martez from the final season of the Clone Wars. They make their return to the franchise. Personally, I was surprised by their involvement initially because, again, for me, my head canon, as I hear Corellia and I see this person pick up the tactical droid head that's completely covered, I'm thinking, is that Han Solo somehow? Are we really doing this? But then it turns out to be Rafa and Trace. So initially I was a little disappointed because you can't beat Han Solo,
hmm
but it's one of those things that after I got over that initial surprise, it just made sense because it's Dave Filoni wanting to connect all of his previous projects to this new project. So yeah, and for me, I know now I need to give myself some own personal homework. I need to go back and watch that Rafa and Trace arc with Ahsoka in the final season of the Clone Wars. And speaking of that, though, let's test Zach here. Have you seen Rafa and Trace before?
I have,
You
in
did.
trailers. Yeah. No,
Nice.
I knew who they were. Again, I've watched some stuff of that final season. I was trying to do my homework for this, and I think saw the first episode with them. Is there
Mhm.
just one episode with them, or is it two?
There is four.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it was more than one, and I have
Mhm.
seen the first one.
I think
So I
it's either
knew,
3 or 4, but I'm pretty sure it's 4.
okay, I knew of them, but I didn't really, like, oh, here we go, watch out.
Yeah.
I took it as a, hey, they're calling him back. Dave's doing what he does. And I think it's cool. Like I love that. And I wanted to bring up, their dynamic in the
Mhm.
show. I
Yeah,
thought
do
it
it.
was great with the Bad Batch, where it would make sense. They're like, yo, go on. I'm trying to freaking get this thing. And then the Bad Batch is like, no, you go on. I'm trying to get this thing. Right. And then by the end of it, there was a mutual respect of, okay, you guys are trying to get this, but I can tell that you're not bad people. You're
Yeah.
just doing your job. So I thought that was a great, what could have not worked
Mhm.
for me.
Yeah, and for me, the Rafa and Trace stuff, like you said, that dynamic between the two was great. The action was great. This is where it really got action heavy throughout this
Mm-hmm.
show, or through this episode in particular. It was like a good solid 10 minutes. It felt like of just straight action going down between these two characters. Now, for me personally, and I think I talked about this when we were watching the Clone Wars final season and we were doing the Martez sister and Ahsoka plot, that storyline. I wasn't a huge fan of these two. I didn't really mind the characters, especially. And you said you've seen the first 2 episodes or first
First
couple.
one, first
What
one.
What do you think of it? Because for me, if I recall, I wasn't too
I
like,
think that's why I didn't watch the other ones.
yeah, that's what I thought. And I
Yeah.
think the last two, I think again, I need to do this homework. The last two end up being pretty good, but the kickoff of those two characters was a little rocky for me personally. So I'm
Mhm.
kind of not surprised that you fall in line with that as well.
Yeah, I
But it is what it is. It is
it
what
is
it
what it
is.
is. So what happens next?
Dude, you're right. You're 100% on the money. You called this a couple weeks ago. Your thing is going to end up being correct before mine ever possibly ever will be. Wrecker hits his head again, and when he started saying this, quote unquote, "good soldiers follow," and he stopped, I was, I thought it was about to happen. I thought Wrecker was about to go bad, but luckily he slowly snapped out of it. Now, also in that moment, though, he was getting shot at and he got knocked once pretty
Mm-hmm.
good. I
Mm-hmm.
also, for a second, thought, are we seeing the end of Wrecker? Is he going out?
Yeah,
But
I mean,
that
for a
didn't end up
second,
happening.
for a split second, I was like, "Oh my god, are we doing this? Like, are
Yeah.
we losing him?" I won't lie, like when he was, and then like gets, like you say, gets popped. I was like, "Oh no, is he about to just?"
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
luckily he snapped out of it. I thought we were gonna go there this episode. Now,
Yeah.
I want you guys, listeners, go back. I can't remember what episode it was. If it
Oh,
was
it's
the last episode or 2 episodes ago, where I said 3 episodes from now, he's going to go bad.
ooh. I think
Because
you said
we're
that
coming
last
up
week.
on it. We are coming up on it, folks.
Mm,
And so I don't know.
dang.
I don't know.
Dude,
I
I'm
may
gonna
have
have
just
to
like,
find that sound bite each
dude,
week and
throw it.
remind the listeners of it.
Yeah, just throw it. I want you to hit a button and me just be like,
Well, first of
because
all, I'm gonna give you props because you called it the very first episode where he hit his head.
I was like, oh,
You
that's something
you
right there.
predicted that Wrecker was gonna go bad. Um, Second of all, I wouldn't be surprised if your next prediction will be correct. But here's my take with this.
Mhm.
And I think, if I recall correctly, I mentioned this in my quick
You did.
takeaways. What was it, episode 2 or 3, where Tech mentions this device that he's working on to scan their inhibitor chips?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going to go against the theory of Wrecker going bad just to be different. I think Tech might discover the issue with his device before he fully commits to going
Mm-hmm.
bad. And I think that's how that device that we talked about how was eventually going to come back up. I mean, it was
Yeah.
too important to not come back up. I think that is going to
Yeah.
prevent him from going bad to where maybe I can be right about something this show.
I think you're right, though. I do. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that's what's going to happen, at least to me, that he brings it up, this device, and
Mhm.
then this happens to Wrecker. I think that is just the next natural step is Wrecker either goes bad for like a second and they're like, no, no, save him. And he has to like do whatever
Ooh,
the device is.
Yeah. Stab him.
Before,
That's what it looked like
so,
you were doing.
yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. But I can see it being like they're together, Wrecker hits his head or something, and like I said a couple episodes ago, where like Omega is in the way and he's about to do something bad, either to Omega or a team member, and then they're like, no, gotta get the thing, because Wrecker, all right, here's how it's going, folks. I'm a writer of the show.
All right, we are gonna snippet this so hard, man.
Snippet it. So Wrecker is going to be like, my head, man, it hurts. And then Tech's gonna be like, oh, yo, I need to check your thing. And the Wrecker's gonna be like, okay, sure. And he's gonna be like, Tech's gonna say, oh my God, this thing is messed up. Wrecker, this could get bad quickly. I need to figure out this device. Wrecker starts getting bad. He's about to hurt someone. Tech, oh gosh, no, Wrecker, don't do it. Wow. And then saves him from doing something bad. Write it down, folks. Write it down.
All right, we're going to cut it right here. We're going to come back to this eventually. I could see that. Now, I do have a question, though. What would be the order to make him go against the crew, though? Like, because he's saying good soldiers follow orders.
Yeah.
Like, what would he then do?
Kill the Bad Batch. That's the order.
Like, is that just the initial, like, as soon as his inhibitor chip goes bad, he just goes berserk?
Yeah, sure. I hope. Okay. I don't know. I mean, it would make sense to me that well, when the inhibitor chip went bad for Crosshair, what happened? I don't remember. He started like shooting at him, didn't he? Or he started killing the people? I can't remember what happened.
From what I remember, man, we're really struggling.
Yeah, sorry, folks.
From what I remember, Crosshair, his inhibitor chip was always just a little on edge compared to the rest of them, and that's why he was struggling so much with not committing to Order 66, while the other crew in the Bad Batch were okay with not committing it. So then Tarkin and everyone else discovered that his inhibitor chip is on edge, so they, zapped into it, whatever they were doing in that scene, and they edited it to where he was more responding to that inhibitor chip, and that's why he then fully committed to hurting the Bad Batch.
That's right. I don't know. You bring up a good point. Like, I don't know what could come of it. Would be really cool is if we bring Crosshair back. We haven't seen our boy in a long time. Bring him back. That's so. Tarkin or whoever is like, kill the Bad Batch, do it. And then Wrecker's fighting and he's like, oh, good soldiers, you follow orders, and then turns on them. And then that's when they stab him in the chest, and then it saves the day. I don't know, guys. I'm completely having fun here. But
speaking of Crosshair, I was completely wrong about seeing him this week.
Oh, yeah.
I was really surprised by that, though. Honestly, I mean, it's the Bad Batch, and Crosshair was a member of the Bad Batch. I feel like we should be checking on him a little bit more. Who knows? I mean, there is 16 episodes, and this is actually something that we're going to get to close the show, so I don't really want to talk about this too much. So maybe we'll eventually get to see Crosshair, but I'm dying to see where he's at and what he's doing.
Yeah. Sorry, we'll keep moving on. I got a little crazy with my predictions, but I'm really feeling the vibes on Wrecker, because I think that could be really good character stuff, because we've been talking about character. I think that could be very cool for him, because Wrecker at the beginning, especially like in the Clone Wars show, very one note, very he's the big bear, right?
Dude.
And so if we could give him more depth with Omega, we got that small scene with him. That went a long way. Now, if we can get his turmoil and his inner conflict, I think that could be very cool to dig into. But
that's a great point, because Wrecker, for me in the Clone Wars, was very one-dimensional. He was just comedic relief. But now that I'm thinking about it, he might be one of the most interesting characters now, because this whole head issue, man.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's
props
what I'm saying.
To writers and everyone involved with
Yep.
Wrecker and the Bad Batch as a whole. So next up in this episode, let's get back to the mission. Trace saves Omega. This is what helps with the whole "we trust you, we're good with you guys, so let's work together." So they eventually work together to get out of here. We already alluded to this. They activate the tactical droid to get the battle droids to help them their escape, which again we talked about was interesting. Connects back to Rebels with Rex having to do this to fend off some Imperial troopers. The tactical droid is then destroyed. And then here's another small canon connection that I loved. R7 makes an appearance, which was formerly Ahsoka Tano's droid during the Clone Wars. And that's that for the mission. They get back to the ship. They have this conversation, though, where Rafa and Trace are talking about how they're trying to get this information to destroy the Empire. We want to do good. And I think that gets to Hunter a little bit because we then see at the end of the episode, Hunter gives Rafa and Trace the tactical droid intel from a data stick following that conversation. What were your thoughts on the finality of the mission and then the eventual decision from Hunter to give Rafa and Trace that intel?
Hot takes incoming.
Okay, let's do it.
The Omega Trace saving Omega, it was weird for me. Like, why would this person save this little girl who is on a molten lava pit that is not melting her skin off? But what I go back to is that I think that's signifying that they're good people, right? That's how I read that. So I can get over that. But what I thought about Hunter giving the droid intel over, I don't know. I'm conflicted on it. It makes sense, and I want it to happen. Like, I want Hunter to see the Empire's bad and want to be good. But from a character standpoint, just because these two people say they're good people, he gives it to them. I don't know. Do you
like
am
he's
I
trusting
being
them too?
like, am I being ridiculous with this? I hope I'm not, and I don't mean to be. That's just how it vibed for me, and I was like, he's just going like, give it to him like that.
No.
Like, we just did all that for like Omega almost died, and now we're just going to give it off to these good people. That's weird.
I don't think you're out of line big time with that. I will say this though, and I'm not 100% sure in this because again, I need to do homework and go back and watch that arc with Ahsoka from the Clone Wars. I have a feeling there's probably like a cool little connection there where Trace has just been influenced heavily by Ahsoka and her helping them through their situation. I think that possibly has tugged a string in her heart for the longevity of the rest of her life. And I think maybe that's why she connects with Omega so much, because Ahsoka did essentially the same thing for her. And I think maybe that's just poetry in motion there. Maybe
and I agree
answer for that.
No, I agree. That's what I was saying. That's how I interpreted it, was like, that's just them trying to say these are actually good people. Like, if it was actually another bounty hunter or someone trying to get this thing, I'm not saving this kid. I'm taking the stuff and bouncing and I'm shooting you in the face. Right. So I thought it was a subtle moment, but it just didn't. I think the whole episode lended itself to what I'm trying to say, where it just felt very, very rushed and we didn't get the character stuff that I wanted out of it.
No, because you're right. And the one line from Rafa when she says, we're trying to get this intel to defeat the Empire. And we're supposed to believe that one line compels Hunter to not follow through on his mission.
Who just got like betrayed by his whole people. And
that's what the Bad Batch and the clones and everyone are trained to do from birth, to execute their orders, to get their mission done. So, yeah, I can see what you're saying. And you're making me go to the dark side after pointing that out, man.
I'm not crazy.
I mean, about that.
I don't mean to be crazy, but that just me watching, that's my initial thoughts is like, like I wasn't mad by it. And again, I want it to be true. Like, I want Hunter to eventually see the Empire bad. I want to help, and then eventually maybe even work with Jedi and stuff. That'd be great. But it was just very weird to me. But I want to talk about a pro. I've been hating on it. I'm going to talk about a really cool part for me. I loved that. I think it was Tech who got that intel out, and he just whispers to Hunter, like, mission complete. Like he doesn't tell anyone. Like that was such a subtle little thing that lended itself to this is a team. They know what they're doing. They didn't go like, we got it, that he
Yeah,
was just like mission complete, let's roll. And
yeah.
I loved that little touch. So what were
No,
your
and
thoughts on it overall?
I don't know,
Did
man.
I sway
I
you?
wasn't even thinking about it like that. I was honestly just going with the flow with it. I think Hunter in the end realizes that the Empire is the true enemy. I think he's already there. I think he realizes that the enemy is the Empire 100%.
Oh, no, I think so too. I
Okay.
do agree. And the reason I think that was actually a couple episodes ago when he was like with the family and he's like
Right.
trying to push them through and he sees that they are kind of not okay. Like these
Yeah.
guys are kind of bad. And then he knows about all the Tarkin stuff and the
Yeah.
crosshair going bad and they're murdering civilians.
So maybe
Um,
just that one line is enough. Maybe we're not giving it enough
like I
credit.
said, maybe I'm crazy, but I think it also is kind of my fault. I didn't really know these characters enough,
Yeah.
so maybe that is a
Fair.
thing too. But I'm just giving you guys my thoughts, and
Hey, I love it.
I dig into it. Okay, I listen to the lines. I watch the closed captions.
Yeah, yeah. Well, to finish the episode, we'll go ahead and talk about that last scene. Rafa and Trace share info about the Bad Batch to their contact. Uh, we only see the shoulder. We don't know who this contact is. And I know for me initially, again, because of that arc that's in the Clone Wars, I was like, man, this is where we could get Ahsoka Tano. But again, on the second watch, Trace specifically says to R7, patch him through
Yeah,
R7.
dude.
So, any predictions? You got any
Obi-Wan
thoughts?
Kenobi. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hot take.
Really?
I don't know.
Okay. I thought you were being like 1000% dead
No,
on.
no,
Like
no, 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 no.
this is
No,
legit.
I'm completely not that. I want the listeners to go, wait, what? And you know,
You heard it here first. It's
it
Obi-Wan
doesn't
Kenobi.
does it make sense? I don't know, but I will say, and if you're in the Discord, you already kind of, we talked about it in there, but um it looked like Jedi robes to me,
It did.
right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, 100% it looked like some sort of robes to me. So who is
Hmm.
it? Keller. Come on, give us your insider Lucasfilm. We know you got people. Tell us who it is.
I'm looking up something right now as far as a potential character because I remember him being in animation before and seeing his wardrobe, and I feel like there could be potential there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say who I'm looking up. Bail Organa,
Mm-hmm.
the senator from the prequels.
Leia's stepdad.
Yeah. I think that there's potential there. I've seen online talk about Bail Organa. Now, I was saying we were talking about how Obi-Wan might be kind of crazy, but I've even seen this. So you're definitely not like way crazy because I've seen people saying Mace Windu, man.
Mm.
I'm gonna give that one like a 3% chance
I was gonna go one,
because
but
Mace
I
Windu is
hope,
supposed to be dead.
like, I really, I wouldn't
I,
hate it.
I'll
I
say
would
this
not
though.
hate it at all.
I think it's one of those moments where we're going crazy with who could it be, who could it be, who could it be. But when they reveal who it is, I have a feeling we're all going to be like, "Oh, that makes sense."
I think you're right.
There's nothing big about that. Like, why were we going crazy about this?
I don't know, man. Why would they know what they're doing? Why would they give us a little arm, Why? I don't know. If it wasn't something in someone of somewhat importance. Like
Yeah, it
if they turn it on to the face of the person and they're like, this is Moxie Phillips. It's like, who is this person? That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. I think it's gotta be someone of importance.
Yeah, it'll be someone that we know, but I don't
Obi-Wan
know.
Kenobi, dude. Come on.
I like it.
I don't know why he would be here working with them now, but
My head is currently cranking. I'm trying to think of other possibilities, but I don't know. Could it be Rex? Could it be Rex? Because we know that he's eventually in the show.
I
Um,
mean, yeah, I mean, he
Possible,
doesn't have to be a Jedi, right? Like, I mean,
right? Maybe Rex is just wearing robes now. Maybe he's got
yeah.
a lax
I mean,
suit
a
on.
lot of people wear robes in the
Yeah, it's
galaxy far, far away.
a
So
lot of people. Well, listen, those of you watching on YouTube, please comment your prediction of who that character was in that
yeah,
hologram at the end of the episode. If you're listening on podcast, please, if you haven't, click that Discord link, go over to our Discord and tell us through there. We would love
yeah.
to hear the predictions or the
Or
theories.
or tweet at us. That's it.
Yes.
That as well. You could tweet
Or
at us if
message us. It doesn't matter. I just love talking with people.
yeah, I'm about to say I want to hear what you guys think because if I'm being completely honest, I'm not confident in anyone. I don't have
Me
a
either.
confident. I think it's this person. I just I don't know. I think it's also because well, two things. We didn't get a lot to work with, but also I don't know what the timelines are at this. Like, I don't know what all the people are doing at this time.
True.
So I'm just saying me personally, I don't. So that's why
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable dropping a name. But that's why I said Obi-Wan Kenobi because I don't know, that'd be cool. But I think I hope that it's someone worth the hype for
Mhm.
and that it'll make the story even better. That's all I ask for.
Agreed, and I'm gonna just echo that. 1000% agree with you. Nothing else to add to that. But before we leave the Bad Batch, there's one thing that came to my realization today as I was doing my second watch.
Mhm.
We were talking about this a couple weeks ago, how we were very surprised when they announced that it was 16 episodes in this season.
Mm-hmm.
And I have now come to the realization of why we have that many episodes. Listen to this list of the number of different plot lines we currently have for this Bad Batch season. First plot line, the transition to Imperial rule across the galaxy. That's our favorite part. That's always going to be a plot line that they throw in this show. Second plot line, the clone army being phased out. That has been heavily alluded to. I think we're going to see more of that eventually. Three, Crosshair. We haven't even seen him in a couple of weeks. Four, the Kaminoans' unrevealed intentions so far. We had that little one-on-one
Oh yeah,
conversation
yeah.
that we haven't gotten payoff to or even alluded to since.
Mm.
Fennec Shan, we saw her a couple weeks ago, but haven't seen her since. The sixth thing, so we're on number 6 at this point. Who are Rafa and Trace working for? We just got that question from this week's episode. Seventh thing, Omega getting accustomed to being a part of the crew. And then eighth thing, Wrecker's inhibitor chip. That is 8 very interesting plot lines, plot points. And you know what I didn't even mention in that list? The title of the freaking show is The Bad Batch. We still got to focus on the Bad Batch throughout the show, as well as those different things. So, yeah, it's very evident here why we have so many episodes in this season. And I think this leans heavily to confirmation, possibly, that we're getting more than one season, if there was any doubt at this point about that. Do you fall in line with
Yeah,
that, or do you think we're going to get answers of all of this in one season and that's it?
I think we're gonna get a lot of answers.
Okay.
If I'm being honest, because we're on 6, right? So we've got 10 more episodes
Mhm.
to answer these things. And to be honest, some of them could be, wrapped up pretty
Yeah,
quickly.
that's what I was gonna. Yeah. Well, and
Um,
I think too, some of them could like be answered together.
that's what I'm saying, like boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
However, do I think it lends itself to a second season? I think what's happening in the show lends itself to a second season. Because how fascinating is it that they stay with Sid and maybe they don't just be bounty hunters the whole time, but that could give us a backbone of learning more about this time of the Empire's rise, like
Mhm.
just Bad Batch Empire rising or something. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I'm being
That's
very selfish with that, but I just think that'd be cool. To answer your question, I think if you'd asked me to start a season 1, I'd say this is a 1 season thing. But
mhm.
where we stand, it very well could be 2 seasons.
I think so. I think
I
it's
want
leaning heavily to
I
it.
want to bring up one thing as well before we go. We're talking about who could be at the end of the episode.
Uh-huh.
From what I'm seeing online,
Oh,
it's
I'm glad you did that.
yeah. I just clicking through some articles here. Bail Organa definitely up there, but also Darth Maul.
No,
That's what people are saying here.
no.
Yeah, and
So
let's
Rafa and
see.
Trace go bad then, if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't think it's that one.
Man, that
And
would be
then
cool though, because Maul wanting to destroy the Empire lines up with Maul wanting to get revenge for Palpatine killing his brother.
yeah, and like I
Anyway, that
said,
was
who says
the
it's
rabbit
and
hole.
the,
Rabbit
the
hole.
sorry, yeah. The last one is Rex. So you're right on it with your predictions, at least from what I'm seeing here.
No Obi-Wan,
Um, no Obi-Wan, Dad gummit, but yeah,
Yoda,
no,
Mace
yeah,
Windu.
yeah. Let us know what you guys think on that. I'm excited to hear everyone's thoughts. But I think that's it, right?
Dude, that's it for this week of the Bad Batch. Again, we fall under the category of it being good but not great. But with that said, we had a lot of interesting conversations from this episode.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great potential, great possibilities with who their contact was. Zach was 100% on the money. Wrecker is going bad at some point.
We're getting
Maybe,
close.
yeah,
Getting close.
getting close to turning bad. And other than that, that's about it for this
Yeah.
week's episode of the Bad Batch and as well as Mando Talk. We appreciate those of you that made it this far with us. We know that you are our hardcore supporters, so we thank you so much for those of
Yep.
you that are still with us. Um, Again, follow us Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Mando Talk
Yeah.
to get in all the fun with us and check out our Discord. And Zach, thanks for being here this week. It was fun. It
Yeah,
was
dude.
great to talk with you, and it was great to have another week with you, man.
Yep. I love talking Star Wars, especially hanging out with you. It's always a good time, and I can't wait till next week. Let's learn more. Let's tell us who it is. It better be this episode.
Are
Tell
we
us who
gonna
it
get it?
is.
Are we gonna get it next week? Do you think?
We're gonna get it. I think we're gonna get it.
Because man, we see Phoenix Shannon, we haven't seen her in 2 weeks. We see Crosshair, we haven't seen him in 4 weeks. It feels like they're really gapping out these answers that I thought were gonna be like immediate follow ups.
I wanted to go back to the kind of the way it was where we were jumping around a little bit. We've been very, very focused on Bad Batch here lately in these past
Mm-hmm.
like 3 episodes without leaving them.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to spread the love. I agree. So
Okay.
we'll see.
Fair, fair. All right, we are gonna get out of here. We hope you have a blessed week, and we can't wait to see you next week. All right, as always, we have spoken.